Today I wanted to do a quick review of a new bilingual Bible which has been released in New Zealand. This is the Te Paipera Tapu, Putanga Reorua, or the Holy Bible, New Revised Standard Version Bilingual Edition. The dimensions of this Bible are 24 centimetres by 16 centimetres by 5.5 centimetres deep, which is comparable to the NRSV Study Bible. I bought the bonded leather edition, which was 80 New Zealand dollars, but there is also an imitation leather for $75 New Zealand and a hardcover for 70 New Zealand. At the time of recording, 80 New Zealand dollars is equivalent to $55.70 US. This is very affordable. Paste down liner, and here is the copyright page. It is printed in China, and it's also worth noting that there is some English abbreviations, but there is no NRSV introduction. Instead, we have an introduction from Archbishop Don Tamaheri on the Bible. Now, this Bible replaces an edition printed in the 1990s, which was the King James Version in the 1952 Paipera Tapu diglot. It's been out of print for a while. This is the 2012 translation, which is an improved translation. It contains macrons, for instance, where the 1952 didn't, and there are some wording changes. This Bible was created primarily for liturgical use. The reason I say that is that the New Revised Standard Version is the recommended English translation in the Anglican Church of Aotearoa, New Zealand and Polynesia, and also in the Presbyterian Church of Aotearoa, New Zealand. If this Bible was for study, I believe they should have used the New King James Version, as we will see the 2012 Te Paipera Tapu uses the Masoretic Text and the Textus Receptus. Let's look at a few examples. As you can see, there are two ribbons in the Bible, a red one and a black one. Turn to the red ribbon, we can see Isaiah 68, verse 31, where in the NRSV we have, "Let bronze be brought from Egypt, let Ethiopia hasten to stretch out its hands to God." Whereas in Te Paipera Tapu, we have "E putamai na rangatira e ihipa." So rangatira is another word for chiefs or leaders. As we'll see down below, we've got "O kingdoms of the earth," or rangatiratanga o te whenua. Now the King James, instead of bronze, had envoys, which suits the context of rangatira. Let's now look at Psalm 110. Which to me is a very good example of why I commend the 2012 translation of the Te Paipera Tapu. Psalm 110 down the bottom. "The Lord says to my Lord," notice how it's lowercase in the NRSV, "sit at my right hand." Whereas here in the Māori, we have "E mea e ihoa ki toku ariki." Now, ihoa corresponds to Lord at Jehovah, transliterated into Māori, and kia toku ariki. So ariki is like the big chief, similar to Lord, but you'll notice it's capitalized, an obvious reference to the deity of Jesus Christ. Let's look at another example in Jeremiah 27, verse 1, or Jeremiah in Māori. So, in the NRSV, "In the beginning of the reign of King Zedekiah," notice the footnote, another reading is Jehoiakim. Then in Māori, "E te timatanga o te kingitanga o Jehoiakimi," obviously Jehoiakim, which is the reading of the King James and the New King James. Now let's look, that showed us the Hebrew. Now let's look at the Greek, the New Testament. I'm going to turn to Luke 11, which my pastor has recently been preaching through in the Lord's Prayer. We use the New King James at church. As you can see in the NRSV, we have Father, hallowed be your name, your kingdom come, with footnotes referring to passages which are present in the King James and New King James, the Textus Receptus. We'll notice those passages are in the text in Te Paipera Tapu, in the Māori. Finally, let's turn to Revelation 22, where we'll see a verse where if they were truly seeking to follow modern textual critical ideas rather than the Textus Receptus, they would have made the change. So in verse 19, we have God will take away that person's share in the tree of life. The King James and the New King James have book of life. And we can see here, te puka puka o te ora. So ora is life, puka puka is book. All in all, I highly recommend this translation and this Bible. The Te Paipera Tapu 2012 is a good literal translation of the Hebrew Masoretic Text and the Greek Textus Receptus. All of the verses we look for in Textus Receptus Bibles, such as the Comma Johannem, are present in the Māori, but obviously not in the English, the New Revised Standard Version. The Bible Society of New Zealand have done an excellent job in creating this Bible, and I highly commend it to anyone who desires to improve their Māori or who wishes to use this in a bicultural church context. You can buy this Bible from Mana Books, which is a Christian book chain across New Zealand, which is also owned by the Bible Society of New Zealand. I picked up this copy from my local Christian bookstore, and I am very pleased at my purchase. See you later.